All right, well, that was fun. This build was inspired by, chat on Discord um, about using the Symbiosis set. Whoa, let's just get out of this. Kind of the trick here is if you have 4-piece Symbiosis and you get just the right spores, then you can be pretty much invincible for an entire run. The trick is not maybe not picking detonator drones or corrosion fields, because you want to go right in after you blow up a ship and run through their spore field. All right, so this is my, what we got here? We got the Vanguard going today. Fun stuff. And here's just a really quick down and dirty build. Now, I don't recommend this if you're just kind of new to rifts, or if you're having a hard time finishing rifts with other more tanky ships, because this is somewhat of a glass cannon. It's a more risky build. I was just trying to see. I've done, I think, a bomber with a Symbiosis set before. Maybe I think I did my striker too, but I don't think I posted those. But anyway, this is kind of a different version of the Vanguard that I've done before. So this might be familiar to you. So the time extender immediately restores all weapons and boost energy. That's really important because you can run out of your executioner energy. And then we've got closely flying behind an enemy, grants 20% increased weapon damage. I mean, I'd like to know how close. I still don't know on this one. It doesn't tell you. While shields are overcharged, gain 25% increased critical hit damage. We're doing tons of critical hits all the time. This run, I didn't really try to get behind stuff all that much. I just used the executioner and then the BB gun here to just kill things, as I saw them. Didn't really need to just get behind things. So, maybe a little bit with the end boss I did. Okay, here we go. What's the last one? Within 200 meters, range primary weapons gain 20% shields and armor piercing. I will mention this once again on my other videos. I mentioned it too, where if you're fighting the boss, you got a great big boss, that 200 meters is measured from the center of the ship, kind of where you might think the energy core would be, or the center of the graphics. So some of the bigger capital ships, if you get right behind them and you actually touch them, you won't be getting this bonus because you'll be like 210, 215 meters away. So just a heads up on that one. I didn't really change these out. I should have changed these before I did stuff. We maxed out our expertise to get all the critical hits we could. I usually like to bump this up maybe one more. I like having 5,000 firepower, but that's just me. It's kind of a little bit of overkill. On this particular build, utility, not a big deal because we're using the Entropy as one of our things. And we have this to buff up the EMP anyway. So let's get right into the... let's go back to here. Perks, what do we got for perks? Perks, I'm not using play it safe. We have a shield, so a lot of times with this, I'll use this defensive massacre because it instant reach triggers the shield, but this time I just boosted a whole bunch and just reduced my damage to 25%. You can still get one shot, and I did. I got one shot several times with this build beforehand. Going down the line, my same old usual suspects. Crit happens, exploitation. We're using play it safe here, get a little extra armor for 4 seconds. And then this, because we're using a shield for real, trying to build up our ult a different way. Yep. We've got to big it up by critical hits instead of having the SB shield and just getting them this way. And of course, before the big explosions, and yeah, you saw a couple of the big ones kick in, and just have a whole bunch of ships blow up all at once. Yay. Let's go back to the ship. Here's the EMP. Because we're using the Thunder Core, of course we're going to use this. You noticed we got a what was it, a Redeemer or with a shield around it for a boss. So this didn't really help. Entropy, awesome. That just resets it so you can just kind of spam your mines in this build. And then this main reason we're using this is it kind of helps in conjunction with this to build up your play it safe, but also yeah, it's just the sustenance just keeps it running in the background to help protect you. And while that's running, and this is keeps it running, it buffs up your mines. All right. You should probably already know about these two. Yeah. And here we go. Let's go to inventory. All right. Our trusty true swift executioner, because once again, it doesn't care what level 4K, if there was a 5K, 6K, what, it doesn't matter. This is just going to one shot, one kill all the little stuff. And this is where I kind of like to run at. I got this bypass the shield, bypass the armor, this 10% chance for each shot to increase all damage dealt to the target's hull by 100%. That can help you with some of the bigger guys if you don't switch, and this kicks in. Of course, everything's ancient controlled, so you're going to get that extra 20% for everything. I think this is probably the most important one. Fully charged shots destabilize the target for 8 seconds. That's a lot of time for this. You can get off a couple shots in that time. And I think that's 100% destabilization. That's how I interpret this fully charged. It doesn't tell you the percentage. So we're going to go with that. All right. Our trusty BB gun went with the powerful one. I know people argue back and forth. What's the best type of barrage blaster to use? Well, once you put this homing on it, you really don't need the calibrated anymore. You can run with both. I think it's a little bit of overkill. But if you're trying to do the extra critical hits, this is, I think, one I've used on a different ship. But again, we like to bypass the shield, of course, go right down to the whole armor. This one here, because you have so many of these little BBs coming out, this ramps up pretty quick. I don't think, if they miss, it doesn't matter either, because it just, it doesn't say it resets when it misses, right? I'm reflecting the shots, and once again, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking these reflective shots count and work with this. So you're getting extra hits with this fire rate, this 30, by reflecting your shots, and then this is adding to your critical hit chance, which is off the chart already here with this being a Vanguard. All right. And then, of course, once again, we got the 20%. I kind of vacillated back and forth between what mines to use here. I have built this a totally different way where I used a parallel missile. You can see some of my other ideas down here. I used a parallel missile with this, and that works pretty good. Sometimes you mix missiles and mines, it doesn't work very well, and they blow yourself up because your missiles blow up your mines. But anyway, this helps to make all the other weapons more powerful, do more damage, and it does a piddly little tiny bit of damage on its own. But it's getting buffed up too by other things. So you can mix... Oh, I don't have an ascended one. But you can ascend this, swap that out, and they do kind of work in conjunction together. Sometimes the EMP stuff will actually overlap. So you don't get the full effect of what you think. But this time I just ran with the destabilizer mine. I went kind of more hardcore damage instead of protection. The Trust and True Judgment Day, everybody loves to use, doing tons of damage quickly. I would suggest, because we're trying to get a bunch of these, what do you call it? The Symphony of Destruction to kick in. you can swap this out for bird's nest. It doesn't kill as fast, but you're webbing stuff, and then it's harder for those those enemies to get to you, and you can get behind them easier if they're webbed. So I had some pretty good success swapping out this with a bird's nest. Did that quite a while ago. Yeah. So, and you're getting more damage than what these numbers suggest. I think there's kind of I don't know, typo here or something funky going on in the background with that. All right, let's go down to the Thunder Core. A good defense is a great offense, right? Or vice versa, however you want to say it. If your Thunder Core is doing damage and your EMP is shocking things, well, then that's time when stuff can't kill you, right? So you really want to... Well, you don't necessarily have to use this, but this makes things quite a bit easier. So, yeah, there's other ways to build, but if you're shocking stuff and then it can't kill you, it's almost like having extra defenses too. I just think about it that way. Symbiosis, okay, this fusion field. I didn't do a whole lot to buff this up. I did ascend it. Continuous current, great. So the recharge delay went to 0. When you use, what's really weird, when you use the 4-piece, which we have here, we have 3. The 3-piece, you get these other 2 combat drones, they smack into you all the time. Really, really annoying. And when they bump into you, you run the risk of disabling or EMPing yourself. So gotta watch out for that. So the other catalyst on this just didn't work very well at all. It kept on disabling my shield for too long. Let's see here. This isn't, I might swap this out, but we got critical hits. Well, it's a Vanguard. Of course we're going to have that. Bump that up because it's happening all the time. Secondary weapon damage. This kills instantly, 1 shot, 1 kill. So you don't need any more buff really on that one. This, you could get a little help if you had a 6% energy or 6% kinetic instead of that 4%. But we're doing is we're kind of sort of spamming mines here using Entropy, which I didn't use it that much. I think it's a little more fun to go around and just be a sniper. But you can. That's a different way of fly. You can stand back with this one and shoot things from afar. This is not the greatest shield. Check out that shutdown. That's huge. But like I said, if you're using the ascended, these OCAR combat drones, and you get bumped with them way too often, that just gets annoying. So not the greatest shield, not the biggest shield, just you gotta not get hit, right? Let's talk about the Symbiosis set. Once again, there's some chatter on and some post stuff. I think I kind of got some of this idea from a guy who's been posting a lot on Reddit and Discord, goes by Megavolt. So shout out to Megavolt there. He's got a lot of really good tanky builds to help out you guys if you're having issues beating 4K. My builds are a little more risky. I will sacrifice my defenses for a stronger offense because I just think for me it's more fun playing that way with a little added risk. But Megavolt's doing a ton of math and calculations and being extremely analytical. I just sort of throw things together by feel and see if they work for me. And hopefully they inspire you to build a ship that will work for you. All right. So let's see. What the Symbiosis does for you is, okay, the 2-piece, all right, you're getting that 3 seconds. Things are going to fix you, right? You're getting hull and armor. wonderful if you fly for the spores. Um, what's kind of harsh with this though is I think I mentioned it before, but if you pick corrosion field or detonator drones, right when you kill something, you're going to have to figure out how to get around your enemy's stuff that's trying to kill you to get to the spores. So that does lead to a little bit more of a challenge there if you pick those two modifiers. So just a heads up on that. And the mending spores will provide 2 random buffs. Well, great, 2 random buffs. I'd really like to be able to see the spores better. Maybe I need to change my graphic settings because I'm still getting a bunch of the orbs that I can see really good in the different colors. For me, it's real kind of hard to see the spores and run over them and then, okay, what did I get? Because I don't really look at the banners that pop up here. Where are we? Oh, whatever. Well, you know what I'm talking about. The little banners that pop up here. Anywho, all right, and then destroying an enemy will refresh active timers on buffs and grant mending spores. This is the big one. This is why you want all 4 of these. And what I got them? I got them on Judgment Day, yeah, Thundercore, Symbiosis, and we went straight up just peripheral there, and this rounds off our 4th. What happens, and you see that I think in my first round, a little bit maybe in my 3rd, you can get an invincibility spore field. So you rush through, you get the invincibility, and it's okay, great. And then all you got to do is do a kill every few seconds, and you stay invincible. It's possible to get a little bit lucky enough to run through that invincibility spore, that shield, and then just kill with this fast enough and be invincible for the entire round. So I did a little bit of that. I was trying to fly through the spores and have it as long as possible. But hey, I won anyway, so it worked well enough. But we're not buffing up. This is an okay Ragnarok. It's not max. Well, it's almost maxed. So the Ragnarok is a pretty good one just on its own. Together We Stand. You can swap this out for different things. I prefer to shoot faster. If you're getting that 50% increase charge speed, then you can kill things faster. And I've kind of played so much, I sort of learned, you see a drone carrier, and you don't even need to charge this all the way with this build. You can do just a little over half charge and just pick off all the drones around a drone carrier and stay invincible. So I really didn't need that railgun increased damage. I probably would have done better if threw something a little bit different in there. Maybe another another critical hit or another destabilized damage. Probably destabilized damage would have done better if I could have got it on there. Or the 6%. Yeah, so we don't really need that railgun one. Anyway, let's go here. Trusty True Terminal Velocity. I just you do have to charge it up, but the Vanguard, it just screams, I want to be boosting all the time. And this is pretty much, the legendary best booster to be zooming around all the time. You don't have to worry about keeping track of teleporter either, how many teleports you have left. Although there are tricks to have near infinite teleporting too. All right, so here we go. together we stand. I vacillated a little bit. My normal build, I have power oscillator here and storm chaser, and then I switched this out to storm chaser, because then I just go and like get all the energy orbs, the extra energy orbs. But we buffed this up with mines instead. So we added mines this time, and this works better. So if you got the mines, excellent. You can get the extra 15% here. We're getting another 20% there. This is doing another 20% in a roundabout way to different things, even more so, and that extra 4%. So yeah, we're buffing up the mines like crazy with these three things. The other way you can buff it even more is you use non-legendary things here. You use another Judgment Day, and maybe use a teleporter, and just put the extra 10% crit and 10% destab on these two also. Or these three, depending upon how you want to go. I usually keep this though. So this, yeah, this works really well. And then of course, with our missile defense system on sustenance, which I've already mentioned earlier, you're buffing up the mines even more. So there's the bulk of the build. When I hit Entropy, I kick this on right away. That buffs these even up more. You get that extra 20%. And then these are just for fun to fire off the tactical beam, reset my EMP resets, and those are my two real offensive weapons working during Entropy. And if things start to get a little hairy, or if you get a really hard modifier, then you can pop one or two of these during round 2 or round 3 and just fire up Entropy again. The idea is you're trying to kill up to about 50% before the Entropy invincibility wears off. That 8 seconds you can get at the end of Entropy. And during that time, though, you're looking for spores that you can fly through. And then once your Entropy wears off, then you just fly through the spores and try to get that invincibility buff. All right, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, a little bit of a departure from my typical builds. Just wanted to show you guys that yes, Symbiosis can be viable. Another variation you can do too is just switch this out, so instead of mines it says missiles. Do I have one? No, I don't have one here. I should have went back to the golden ace first. But you can use a destabilizer missile here, and then use one of your suffusion, one of these missiles too. The other thing you can do is you can, instead of using one of these, you can throw in a energy shield here. If you're having a little bit of a hard time winning, because like I said, I didn't buff up the shield. I sacrificed my defenses for a little bit stronger offense. Anyway, there you go. Symbiosis. Try it out. Have some fun with it. I think it is a little bit of a harder set to play with and kind of master, but it can be done. And it just gives you another kind of tool in your box, or stuff in your arsenal to get out there and beat that 4K. All right, guys. Not sure when I'm going to make another video. If you got any ideas, please send me a message and say, hey, why don't you try this? And I might just do it. All right. Thanks.